Hi, and welcome to Canadianish Comedians. I'm Julie Betts.
And I'm Laura Toogood.
Today we're having a chat about comedy with Celeste Lampa. Yay!
Hello.
Hello. Celeste has become a favorite in the Canadian comedy scene. You are an architectural technologist by day, a stand-up comedian by night, and a mom of two around the clock. Your talent has led you to work with some of today's best comics. You've performed throughout Canada, and you've been featured at the SheDot Comedy Festival and the Grindstone Comedy Festival in Edmonton. Congratulations, too, on your debut comedy album.
Thank you.
Yay.
Yeah.
Can you share with us why you called it 25%?
I have a joke about everything I do. I don't want to do the joke, but it's like really like I'm a mom, wife, have a full-time day job, do stand-up, and like people are like, how do you do it? And I'm like, I do everything at 25%, like minimum level effort, so that's kind of where that all came from.
No expectations.
No expectations. Don't get too excited.
Yeah. You know what? That's the best way to live life, honestly.
It's the only way I can operate, really, just with everything going on.
That's amazing.
I actually heard your joke, and I listened to your album on Spotify.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
And I thought to myself, yeah, why have I been setting the bar way the hell up here?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
It's such a letdown otherwise.
And you know what? Lower expectations are so much easier to achieve.
Oh my gosh, I know.
Right?
Ready-made lunches, like pizza pops. Like you're going to get a frozen pizza pop, kids. I'm sorry. Like with the curds or the cheese curds in there.
Hey, by the time lunch hour rolls around,
it's thought out.
That's
it's
right.
Fine.
That's right.
Yeah. Mom of the year.
It's not melted. It's still cold, but it's edible.
Right. Well, luckily it has that little pouch of, prefabricated
whatever
bread.
It is. Yeah. Yeah.
So you've got work, you got family, you've got comedy, blah, blah, blah. It's obviously challenging, like my lips. How do you juggle it all?
I honestly don't even know anymore. Like I'm so swamped at my day job. Like it's very demanding, the work that I do. And so I just do what I can. Like I don't push myself. Early on, like I would go to all the open mics, like go to shows as much as I can. And now that I'm able to, I'm able to just go to a room and like do the jokes that I have. Right. So I don't know. I just, I don't know how I do it. Time management, maybe, but it's a horrible time management because I'm like flustered a lot. I'm listening to a lot of like self-help shit right now.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Yes, you totally can.
It's a phase.
Yeah. The self-help books or the swearing, because right.
But I find that I go to less mics, which is not the greatest, but I gotta do what I can, right? Like if I have stuff on the weekend, that's good. I check that off as my stand-up for the week kind of thing. But if I don't have anything booked for that weekend, I'll make sure to go out during the week once or twice.
Nice.
And I'll always ask for bullet. I'm known to ask for bullet so that I can just go in and then like leave, get home because I got to get up early.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's very good.
Yeah.
So how did people react when they found out that you wanted to be a comedian?
So I got mixed reviews. There were people that were like, a lot of people actually were like, oh, I didn't know you were funny. That was kind of
Nice.
like, oh, wow. Okay. Well, and I got some encouragement. Most of the encouragement came from my friends, but it was mostly family members that were like, I don't know if you should do that, but I did it anyways. And I'm still here.
That's awesome. What about your kids? Do they think that you're funny? Because I know they're still at that age. They're a little bit on the younger side.
Yeah. 10 and 12.
Yeah.
So that's all they know. Like I started stand-up. So I was in like a year and a half and then I got pregnant. And then as soon as I had my daughter, I stopped doing stand-up for 3.5 years. So I started back when I had my son. He wasn't even a year old. So it's like, it's what they know of me from when they were younger. So I think they just think it's normal. at this point, right? Like it's just something that mommy does. And I think I'm funny. I
That's
make fun
good,
of them. Yeah.
That's awesome.
After
we make fun
seeing,
of things.
Wait,
after-
did you say you make fun of them?
Yes, I make fun of
Perfect.
them. We make fun of things together. Yeah, we have
That's
a good
awesome.
That's cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
sense of humor.
Sorry, Laura, I interrupted you. You were
No,
going
no,
to
I was
say
thinking
something.
about the Super Bowl and Rihanna being pregnant on stage.
Mhm.
That must does that inspire you?
Funny enough, I was pregnant on like I did stand up pregnant here in Edmonton, and it doesn't inspire me to get pregnant again.
No.
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 But not that it inspires me, it's just kind of like I root that on, you know, when I see
Yeah.
women that are moms and they're still doing their thing, like it's nothing,
Mhm.
like this is not gonna stop me. It's actually gonna make me better, right? And you just kind of carry yourself in a different way
Yeah.
when you become a mother.
I feel like
So,
most men don't really understand or appreciate how much more difficult it is for a woman or a parent, because I
mhm,
can't gender specify it, but someone that is a
yeah.
devoted parent to be
Mhm.
out there and working the comedy scene. Like that's a tough gig, man. That's a lot of
Yeah.
work and a lot of sacrifice. And like, I can't even imagine, you know? I
Yeah,
think,
it's I think for the most part, like most parents get the respect from their peers in comedy
Mhm.
because they know it's a lot more work. Because most comedians, like successful ones, it's just them that they're taking care of, right? So which is
Mm.
why they're so successful, right? But
Yeah.
I'd say that I'm up for the challenge, I guess, because I'm doing it,
Good for
right?
you.
And it's
Yeah.
just it's what I do. So I don't know anything else.
Yeah.
I don't know
And
anything else.
the payoff will be once you hit that stratosphere, which I feel like you're definitely on a projectile
We'll
towards,
see. We'll
then you
see.
hire that team of people that take care of your kids, you
Me.
know? So
We'll
it's so much
see.
ever,
Oh
right?
boy.
The
I think it's
tutors.
good. It's
Oh.
good now because they're like self-sustaining, like they can
Yeah.
take care of
Cool.
themselves. They're 10 and 12, so
Yeah.
it's totally fine now. They're
Yeah.
good.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
They're so cute. I've seen them online.
Aw,
I did creep you a
aw.
little bit. They're
It's
Yeah.
adorable.
okay.
They're
Yeah, thank
so
you.
cute.
They're
Yeah.
awesome. They're
I
good
love
kids.
that they're into martial arts too, because
Oh yeah.
that gives you so much confidence, self-confidence,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
being able to conduct yourself and the discipline and the focus. It's
All
just,
of that. I
yeah,
was just
yeah,
telling my husband that yesterday. I was just like, already in like the few years that they've been here, like the 10 years that they've been here, 10, 12, like they're already better than us because they have that martial arts like foundation. Like
yeah.
they already have that focus and that like determination. I didn't have that growing up. Like, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I know I did take martial arts when I was in my 20s, and I didn't have the same level of focus and respect for the art because I was brought up playing organized sports and team sports, and I found that that was more of an individual thing. I was
Mhm.
more of a team player, so it was had a whole different effect on me when taking it later in life, let's say,
Yeah. Yeah.
versus as a kid.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I
I get that.
because ballet just didn't stick with me. Anyway, so just talking about your career and things like that, you're a first generation Canadian Filipino. Did you ever
Mhm.
feel like you had to change who you are because of that? Or
Um,
I don't even want to
well,
really say fit in because
no, that's okay. I know what you mean or what you're asking. It's funny because I'm from Edmonton, right? And I started back in 2009-ish, and there was no people of color on the scene here in Edmonton at the time. Maybe there was like two or three, maybe even two professional working comedians. But I didn't ever feel like it was a disadvantage. Like I just knew that if I just do my thing, it'll be fine, you know, and I can just play on that, like play on my, not that it's like a bad thing, just play on my culture, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I don't know, I used it to my advantage because I think they are everybody's looking for something different, right?
Oh, for sure.
So yeah, I was more than proud to be somebody different when I came onto the scene
It's
back
awesome.
then. But now it's everybody's game now, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely a lot more diversity.
Diverse. Yeah.
So
I love
it's
it.
good to see. It's really
Yeah.
good to see.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
And hopefully we continue down that path, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Who would you say influenced your comedy the most?
I'd have to say I love Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
I've loved Dave Chappelle from, I'd say that he's maybe one of the reasons why I became a comedian. Big fan of stand-up as a kid. I loved like all the, like Eddie Murphy, Patrice O'Neill.
Yeah.
I loved Roseanne growing up. And I didn't know she was a stand-up when I watched the show. And then when I found out she was a stand-up, I'm like, of course she's a stand-up. I used to watch Evening at the Improv on A&E religiously every Saturday with my dad and my brother. So there were, I just love stand-up. I don't know if there's like a singular comic that was my biggest influence, but yeah, the ones I named, those are my favorites. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I'm a big Chappelle fan as well.
Yeah, it's tough with what he went through for that little bit, but I feel like he's coming out the other side of all of that.
Yeah.
And it's like people are taking comedy a little bit too seriously sometimes.
Yeah,
Do you find that too? It's like
100%. Yeah.
Calm down, people.
It's funny that when we as comics get worried, we're like, oh my gosh, does that mean we can't, like every time something happens, we're like, does that mean we can't say anything?
Yeah.
But for the most part, we just say whatever we want, right? Like,
hey, Laura, wasn't it the Edmonton Comedy Festival that one of our other guests was told not to use specific language?
No, that was Winnipeg.
Oh, Winnipeg. I was close. Yeah.
Is that because it's televised? So that's probably why.
Well, she said that the male comics weren't given the same speech that she was given. So we were like, oh, that's interesting.
Oh, wow.
By one of the stage managers, a female stage
managers. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, what was it? Can you be more specific? Oh, you can't say cunt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which kind of made me surprised.
Which you can on this podcast.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, clearly.
We've had no problem saying
I think province to province or network to network, there would be different rules. But you know what? That's what the beep button is for, isn't it? The beeping out.
Yeah.
Like if you're recording, unless your audience is primarily like Catholics, I don't know.
No.
I don't know. I'm only saying that as a former Catholic.
Well, it's just like, I don't know. It's like the what's the word I'm looking for? It's the joke, right? Like it's if it makes the joke, then and the joke is funny, then it should be, and it's not offensive to anybody. Like it's just the joke. Like I think it's fine, but
and she is very funny, and like I've seen her perform a couple of times, and it was in the context, it was appropriate. It would be the same way to me as if a man said, oh yeah, and I whipped out my dick. Like it made sense. So it was like, oh, interesting.
I mean, if you're calling your cunt something nice, you know what I mean? Like if you're being nice about your cunt, then it's totally fine.
It's a flower.
It's a flower.
It's a flower. I always laugh because the Brits, they just throw that word around like it's nothing. It's like, hey buddy, hey cunt, like everybody just uses it. And it's like in certain areas we're just still so uptight about it. And it's like,
but what about in Edmonton though? Have there been difficult moments that you've had with being on the stage or relative, like
like a particular show or just in general?
In general too, like relative to even starting and sticking to it, like have you had difficulties? And
not, I don't think the challenges really were ever like from industry or from bookers or anything. I think the biggest challenge that I have with myself is myself,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. Like I've doubted myself so many times because it's like, I'm not as good as this person because they get to do it more than me, you know, and I'm more hard on myself. Whereas, you know, I would get asked to do stuff. And I think that, I don't know, I think that just says that me being asked shouldn't really discourage, like I shouldn't feel discouraged because of that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's more me that gives myself the discouragement, if that makes sense, right? Because they've been pretty good. Edmonton's been really good to me. Same with Calgary. Maybe it's because I'm active, like with the comedy. I don't know. I don't know why people book me. Oh,
because you're adorable and you're funny. Why wouldn't they book you?
I do it all the time. Like you'll catch me on a I'm my worst critic, like myself. So
I feel like we all are. And it's, I guess, part of being in the whole comedy scene is you have to build that up in yourself. And you mentioned before that you're reading self-help books and all of that. And it does play a part, because some of the ones that are really successful, they're not even that funny. They just have that bravado and drive, and they just think that they're all that. And it's like, that's probably the hardest piece to overcome, right? Is just, I'm the best and I'm going to go out and I'm going to do it and I'm going to kill it every single time. Like, believe me, I did stand up twice and I'm like, God bless you for getting out there and doing it.
And just doing it.
Scary.
Yeah, it could be scary. It's still scary sometimes. But I'd say, like, for me, it's probably like what it is. It's all the hats that I have to wear. Like I have to wear this hat at work. I have to wear this hat as a parent, right? And as a comedian. So it's like I have imposter syndrome in every area of my life. You know what I mean? So it's just like, how do I manage my emotions and my thoughts when I feel that way, right? And it's just, it's a lot. It can get a lot, and I'm trying to work on that right now. So
Well, I don't think you're an imposter, so
if
that means anything.
and you're not alone, because I mean, I do work for in my day job, work for a lot of professional people, and there have been a lot of instances of imposter syndrome with them as well. And it's like, you just have to take hold and believe in it.
Get the job done. Yeah. And believe in it. That's totally true.
Yeah.
So what helps keep you committed to that whole process of writing jokes and going out there and performing, and like, what's really driving you to do that? Because there's got to be that little something inside
I know,
Celeste, that's going, you got to do it. You got to do it. You got to do it.
Honestly, I think I've been doing it for so long that it's just it's therapeutic for me.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like I just feel like I'm a better person after, even if it's a bad set. I just feel better that I did it. Right. And it's that whole like, you got to go out and sharpen your sword, because I use every mic that I can to do that. It just feels better after I do it. And when I'm done, I'm like, I have a nice drive home, you know?
It's awesome. There is nothing like that rush of like, I made all those people laugh. Like, how cool is that? Right.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Do you consider yourself like an extrovert or an introvert?
I'd have to say I'm a bit of both. It depends on my mood and like the environment that I'm in, right? Because I could be really shy and quiet sometimes, but when I'm excited or, you know, super happy, then I'm very extroverted.
Or in the zone.
Or in the zone. But I'm a bit of both.
I'm laughing because you're also a Gemini, so I totally get that.
You know that.
Totally get
You're
that.
hilarious. Yes.
I do.
Yeah, I was just gonna mention that, and I'm like, do I want to be that person? But yeah, I'm a total Gemini.
As
Oh,
a fellow
wow.
Gemini, I'm like right there with you, sister.
Yeah.
There's times where I'm like the life of the party.
Yeah.
And then 20 minutes later, I'm like, "Ugh, just like,
Yeah.
I need my time. Like, just
Yeah.
leave me alone. Right.
To myself. Yeah. It's also called bipolar disorder.
Oh, that could be too.
I'm just kidding.
Right. Gemini's bipolar, potato.
And sorry, and now we know, Julie.
Yeah. Yeah. No hiding it now.
So what is one thing you really want to do, and is there anything holding you back from doing it?
Honestly, and I don't know if I should broadcast this because I still have my day job, but I want to be a professional comic. I want to do this as my income. This is how I want to feed my family. And I think I'm almost there, but you got to be smart about it when you have kids, right? You can't just drop everything and follow this dream that you don't have a plan for, right? So kind of why I'm still at my day job, and it's a great day job. They know that I do this. They're very encouraging. They root me on, so I'm really happy about that. But
Yeah,
that's my ideal goal in comedy, just to do it professionally without any other income coming
yeah.
in.
You hit the nail on the head when you
That makes
said
sense.
to doing it without a plan, because you really do have to make a plan. And I remember when I was on a medical leave from work, I thought to myself, when I go back, if I don't get a promotion, this is what I want to do. And while the time I took off, which was 6 months, I started making a plan. And when I went back, my company, while I was gone, my company got sold. So when I came back, I was laid off, and I already had something in place. So it was kind of
A blessing.
I think so.
Yeah.
It's almost like seeing the writing on the wall and already knowing that I wasn't being satisfied in what I was doing, to know that I was ready to move on to the next level. So that's why
Nice.
I became a school bus driver.
I love that. That's awesome.
That's great, Laura.
Well, it's kind of true because I didn't have a job.
Yeah.
I had to do something.
Yeah.
But that's a great gig. That is
It was the best thing I think I ever
bet.
did, because from a comedic standpoint, oh my God, I made up songs about the kids. I got in trouble for making up songs about the kids. I brought window markers on the bus for the kids to write on the window.
Oh my gosh, you're the awesome bus driver.
A little bit of a shit disturber, but I'm a nonconformist, and that's probably what makes me funny. I don't know.
Yeah.
And fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to make this about me, but
no, that's okay.
No, but it is you're definitely on the path for sure, from what I've seen and heard, because I too listened to your album. And I think that it is hard, when you have a family, and that you have to ensure that your kids can be fed and all the rest of that. So
taken care of when I'm on the road. And my husband's also, I didn't even talk about my husband. He's so great. He's really hands-on. He knows that this is, and I met him years ago. We were together, I don't remember how long we were together. We weren't married yet when I first decided that I wanted to do comedy. But he was so encouraging then, and he still is now. There are some days when we're kind of annoyed with each other.
Well, that's every marriage.
All the things that we have to do, right? And we get frustrated with everything. But for the most part, we're a good team, and we make it work.
Perfect. That's great.
Yeah, it's awesome.
That's really good.
Mhm.
It will definitely make a difference.
And just I want to say one more thing too, because you were hesitant about putting it out there, but now you've put it out there, so it'll manifest.
Yeah,
manifest.
Yeah.
Yeah, Absolutely.
After being on Canadianish Comedians, it's just going to be like this meteoric rise and like,
Hey,
wow.
thank you, ladies.
You're welcome.
Yay.
Could you imagine? Oh my goodness.
That's so awesome.
That would be awesome. That would be.
I appreciate that.
How would you describe the scene in Edmonton, the comedy scene? Like, is there a seedy side like most major cities? I know you mentioned before that it was very accepting and very
It really
open.
is. Yeah. If you talk to a lot of, and I hope most comedians say this that are from Toronto, but like, because a lot of comics from Toronto come around and they hang out for a week. We have a really good comedy scene here in Edmonton. There's a room every night. There's some rooms, like some nights there's more than 2 or 3 rooms going on.
Wow.
We have 3 clubs. We have and just like actually 4 clubs, because the Grindstone theater, we have that. That was a big deal for us when we got that too. Very, very fun, good group of people, hilarious. They work hard. Really good writers here in Edmonton. I can't say anything bad about the Edmonton comedy scene at all.
That's
Like, I
awesome.
know I came from here, but I think even if I wasn't from here and I came to visit, I'd have nothing but good things to say. Like, I'm proud to be from Edmonton.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
lovely.
That is.
Now you're going to get all the Toronto comedians going and moving to Edmonton, so be prepared. Right? No, Toronto's great.
That'd be
I'm not
cool.
dissing it. There's lots of good. There's lots of good everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Laura's like, shut up, Julie, just shut up. Stop talking.
No, not at all. So COVID, how did that change the way you approach comedy? Did it? And
It did. Yeah, it definitely did. There was a point like early in COVID when I was like, thank God, this is awesome, because I don't have to commit to anything. Because I'm one of those people that where I'm like, I'll put it in my calendar. I know I need to do it. And the whole day, not that I'm dreading it, but it's just like this anxiety that I got to do something, right?
Yeah.
And then something will come up at home where I'm like, I can't go, or I'll think about the next day and it's just like, there's too much. And then I'll flake on a show. I'll message the booker and be like, I can't make it today. Usually for open mics, not for like actual, like booked paid shows. But when that kind of like, that ended with when COVID started, it was this like, now I can just do nothing. And I was so happy with that. But then it got to the point where I'm like, okay, I need to do stand up again. And then I did all the Zoom stuff, and I kept busy with that. And a lot of my good jokes like came out of COVID. So
Nice.
I'm grateful for that. But it
You're
opened up a lot earlier here in Edmonton, Alberta, like than other places in the country. So I think we had the advantage, and also people were coming to Edmonton to come and do shows because there were stages that were open. So
and I guess those the Zoom shows allowed you to be virtually anywhere in the country, let alone the world, if you wanted to be.
Yeah.
Were
and
there
connect with people? And
were there any we're familiar with a few of the Zoom shows, but were there any worldwide that you were aware of?
I did one with Ron. You know Ron Jossel?
I don't know Ron Jossel.
Okay. He did one. It was called Around the World. So he had comics from the Philippines,
Nice.
all on one show, and it was awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah, Ron's he's a veteran. Cool. He's a vet.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure you were on the Unknown Comedy show with Rodney one time.
Yep.
Or at least a couple of times, right?
Yep.
So he was a good guy.
Yeah, he was awesome.
We saw a few of those shows.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
My friend Stephen Mann, who kind of did a bit of stand-up, was on them twice.
Cool.
So it was fun.
Nice.
They were good.
Yeah.
It was very interesting. I couldn't imagine. And that's how I saw Sabrina.
Okay.
Was on one of those shows. So it was like, oh, this is cool. It was a nice way to spend an evening, couple hours. So it was good.
We even had the comic strip here, they had a show where it was virtual. So we went to an actual studio
Mhm.
where we performed as if like we were standing up on stage, but we could see everybody on like the big screens.
Cool.
Very
And you could
cool.
still see their reaction and everything.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. That was a fun one.
Because it would be tough if you can't hear people laughing, because a lot of the times they would mute the audience, right?
Yeah, there were a few. I think they turned on the mics for like half the people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they figured it out. It was pretty fun.
But it's a good way to practice anyway.
Oh yeah, for
Mhm.
sure.
To
That's
keep it
why I was
going.
like, thank God they kept these things going, because
Mhm.
I would have been so dumb coming back and
I
like,
think
oh
they're
my gosh.
still they still do them too. And
I
some
think so, too.
places, I think I saw something today where there was a show where you could buy tickets for, either to appear in person or online. So they were doing
Oh,
a
okay.
dual thing. I can't remember.
And they
where
were
the
talking about
broadcast-
that a lot in the CanCom, about like virtual, like hybrid shows.
Mhm.
You know, like if you can't make
Yeah.
it in person, then they'll make it available to you online, which
Yeah.
is good, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of CanCom, you were a
Mhm.
facilitator. How did that go? Tell us a
that
little
was
bit about it.
fun. Yeah, that was a lot of fun, and I learned a lot. Yeah, I was really shocked when they asked me that I'd be a facilitator. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, what does this mean? What do I have to do? I'm like, oh, it's actual work. It's a lot of work.
Oh,
But
no.
no, it was good. I think it's good to educate young comics, and even like comics
Mhm.
that have been doing it for so long, just because I feel like it's like the government that's kind of recognizing it now, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's like funded by who was it? Heritage? I don't know. It was a group.
Heritage Canada.
I should know that. I should know
Yeah.
that. I hope they're not watching.
Yeah,
But yeah, it was
I
a pretty
watched
big
one of
deal.
them, and I know I'm going to watch the few that I missed
Mhm.
because they're taped. And Laura, I think, how many did you see? 3 of them so far,
No, I've seen
or
them
all
all.
of them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
nice.
it's great. It's great.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I find they're so informative, and
Yes.
what's the word I'm thinking of? Like, they reinforce if you ever had doubts about something, you know, at least there's some solid reinforcement.
Yeah.
And great advice, and probably people that you can approach and say, hey, I need help, or hey, you know, where can I go to get this or that or the other thing. So I
Yeah,
think it's an awesome organization.
I think so too. Yeah, a lot of helpful tools, because there are people that like they go to school to do stand up, and not that they shouldn't, but it's like it's a tool that you can use if you didn't go to school, where you're educating yourself on the industry and like what to expect, and like what you do when you get started, or
Yeah.
you know, just because it's not explained to anybody when they start. Like there's all these young comics that start, and they'll ask me all these questions, and I'm sitting there for like a half hour just explaining to them like one small little tidbit of information, right? There's so
Yeah.
many layers, and it just takes years to really learn, to get to a point where you just like you fully understand what this industry is all about, if that makes sense. Not that I
Yeah.
know everything about it, but I think I have a good feel
Yeah.
about
And
the comedy game.
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. And kind of along those lines, what advice would you give to female comedians, Canadian comedians, female comedians coming up through the ranks right now? What advice would you give that you wish somebody had told you when you were starting?
Don't doubt yourself.
Yeah.
That's a big one. And I have to tell myself that, like, I even just before, like early in the show, I was like self-deprecating, you know, I said that I do that, but don't do that.
Yeah.
Like you decided to do this for a reason, right? And like once you're up there, you have no choice but to do it, right? So all that self-doubt that you carry with yourself up to the point that you get onto that stage, like just get rid of it, because it's not going to help you. I don't think it's going to help you at all. Like there was a young comic, and she wrote something on her post, like she posted something and she wrote on her caption, like bombed, it's like, don't do that,
Yeah.
because you're just manifesting more bombs, so you chose to do this because you think you're funny already. That means that you believe that you're funny. So yeah, don't doubt it. Don't doubt it. And
advice.
don't even doubt like the fact that you're a female. Like, yeah, even better that you're a female. The one thing I did take a class, by the way, I did take a class before when I first started doing stand-up, like when I got into it. And the one thing that I took with me was once you get this is what the instructor said. He said, once you get the women, you got the whole crowd.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's why a lot of my material is really from me as a female.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That's so smart.
Yeah. And it's
Mhm.
relatable. Totally
Yeah.
relatable.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Because I think back to comedy shows that I've been at, and when you get that jock guy up there and he's like, "Oh, grunt, grunt, dick, dick, balls, balls," and you're like, as a woman, I'm like, and the men laugh almost like uncomfortably, but then you
Mhm.
get somebody that like can relate to the women, and we all start laughing. Then the whole crowd is laughing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Good advice.
Oh, thank
Absolutely.
you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very, very good advice.
I should take that advice too.
It sounds like you do. You're pretty on the ball there, girl.
Yeah. Yeah. You're going to be fine. You're going to
Yeah.
be fine. Yeah. And how exciting. Like, you've got that new show coming up. I know I wasn't going to
Yeah.
mention about, I wasn't going to timestamp a podcast. That was my mistake. I didn't mean to do that, but you do have a show coming up. Are you taking that across the country?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
Crystal
cool.
and I are because we were just going to call it the Sweet and Salty Show, but she's like, dude, let's call it the tour, because we're going to take this like whenever we can. Like, it's not going to be like a run of shows just because we
not
can't.
a succession.
We're moms. We have to be home, right? So we're doing Edmonton, Calgary, and then in April we're going to be in the GTA area, and we're hoping to go to BC in the summer or fall. Yeah, and we'll just do what we can with it. Just keep on going.
Yeah, I already told Crystal, like, as soon as the date's published for Toronto area, Laura and I are going to be there.
Of course.
We'll come and support you guys. We'll bring a crowd with us because y'all are funny and
amazing.
Thank you. Support you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, last question.
Sure.
If your life story was being made into a movie, who would play you?
Oh my goodness. I don't know. I don't know which actresses there. Yeah. I have no idea who could play me. My goodness. Zoe Saldana.
Oh, she's beautiful. Hello. She's gorgeous. I picked J-Lo for me, so I'm like.
How about you, Laura?
Oh, you know what? I never really thought about it, but sometimes people like, I used to be compared a little bit to Julia Louis-Dreyfus. So maybe her.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks for putting me on the spot there.
Well, we did the same thing to poor Celeste, right? Tell us who's going to play you, Celeste.
Oh my gosh. And I pick like the best actress out there right now.
Beautiful. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
but like
she's great. I love her because of Avatar. I'm a big Avatar fan, and I'm like, oh my God, she can play a blue alien. That's incredible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She is gorgeous. Even
and
as
very
an Avatar.
talented.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, sorry, go ahead, Laura.
No. You go ahead, please.
No, please take the floor.
Oh my God. No, I just wanted to know if there was anything else you wanted to tell us.
I stopped drinking.
Congratulations.
That's like my thing that I love talking about. Yeah, I stopped drinking. It's been since September. So yeah, I went over 100 days with no alcohol. Then I had a couple drinks. And then after those couple drinks, I decided that I don't want to do it anymore. And
Good
so
for
I'm still
you.
kind of fresh into it, but it's a whole new outlook, especially in comedy, because you know how it is, right?
Everybody
With
drinks.
all the booze that's always around.
Mhm.
It got to a point where I'm like, do I do comedy because I think I'm funny, or do I do comedy so I could go out and drink
Wow.
and be at bars? Because it was never not like, I never went to a show and didn't have a drink. It was always at least one, you know?
Yeah, but one isn't like
It's still as there
uh,
were times when it was too excessive, you know, and then I'd have to leave my car, you know, and then go back and
go
get it,
back.
like one of those
Yeah.
situations. And
Yeah.
like the next morning, I just have that like Uber ride of shame to my car, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but that's really a more responsible drive, not a
Yeah.
Yeah.
because
But it's
you knew better.
right,
So
right.
that's
Yeah.
awesome, though. That's
Yeah. It
See,
feels good. I feel
Yeah.
good.
I think
No.
it's better to
Good about
be
it.
addicted to comedy.
Than to be
Right.
addicted to alcohol.
So
Yes.
that's a good point, because now I'm realizing that now that I'm not doing it, like I'm actually at shows specifically for comedy, not for the drink, right? Because my thing, and this is not just at shows, this is like events, parties, get-togethers. My thing that I would look forward to is alcohol. That's like my first thing that I want to do the moment the event starts or whatever, right? Now I have space to concentrate on why I'm actually there, you know, and I'm not waiting for the server, like, you know, feeling that anxiety of like, where's the server? Where's my drink kind of thing. It's just like,
Do some venues sort of pay you in booze or?
oh yeah, there's always a show that,
Open
you know,
mic, yeah.
yeah, Mike's usually give out like a drink ticket to the comics and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Well, at least you can give it away now.
oh yeah, that's my favorite thing to do too.
How to win friends and influence people.
Yeah.
That's
Free
That's
drink
great.
awesome.
tickets. Yeah. So
You know what? I'm someone who Laura doesn't drink, hasn't ever drank. I used to drink occasionally, but then through the pandemic, I started drinking more because we would do Zoom calls with friends and you're in the safety of your own home. And like, oh, I'd have a bottle of wine, you know, didn't have to work the next day, at least one night a week doing that. And I got COVID last December from my daughter, which was a lovely gift for Christmas.
Oh,
And
sorry.
it was fine. It was fine. Since then, I have like absolutely zero taste for alcohol.
Wow.
And I'm like, I don't care if I ever drink again. Like, it doesn't bother me. But you do definitely see the world slightly differently. I think it's more entertaining to be the sober person in a room.
Yeah.
And watch
I get
everybody
that.
now. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a whole new like perspective on like what people are doing rather than like being immersed in it.
Yeah.
And being like, it's kind of like, oh, okay, well, they're hammered, but it's
Oh,
okay. Like I'm not on a high horse, but I am on a high horse. But like,
well, let's put it this way: they're hammered. You take notes.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
It's the best way to write.
Yeah,
comedy.
but to each their own. Like I'm not here to preach or anything. It's you know, but for me, I feel like I'm growing into something a little bit better.
Definitely something to be proud of. Like that's a huge accomplishment.
It's huge. Yeah, this is a huge
Absolutely.
one. And especially for the people that like know me, like they know that I can drink. Like and people are like, you don't normally act like you don't act weird or, you know, silly when you're hammered. I'm like, yeah, that's because I can take it. Like that's not a good thing, you know, that you can just have drink after drink after drink and be fine the next day. It was too much. It was getting too much. So
the body only forgives for so long.
Yeah. And I'm small and I'm an Asian, you know, like it's just my liver is probably loving me right now for giving it a break. So I feel good.
For sure.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's great. Any last parting words or thoughts that you have or anything else that you want to discuss?
Not really, but no, I don't really know what else to say other than thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Absolute pleasure. And we wish you all the success in your tour with
Yeah.
Crystal
Thank you.
Ferrier.
Yeah.
And we'll
I'm
see you
super
in
excited.
Toronto in April.
Yeah, that'll be awesome.
That'll be
Yay.
great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for your time, Celeste. And we
Thank
wish you all the
you.
best. And we're going to keep our eyes on you. And
Oh
we'll
my
be able to say,
gosh.
we knew her
I'm
when.
so flattered. You gals are
That's
so
great.
awesome.
Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you. You're
Appreciate
awesome.
it.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Bye now.
Bye.